I never thought saving a life could nearly cost me my own. That night, under the flashing red and blue lights of an ambulance, I hit the ground convulsing from a taser while a woman inside a gated community was dying because a security guard for the HOA decided rules mattered more than human life. By the time the gate opened, she was gone. And the weight of that failure still presses on me every single day. I'm Dr. Andrew Patel, an ER physician. I've seen plenty of chaos, blood tragedy, you name it. But nothing could prepare me for what happened in Cedar Hills that night. It was 2:13 a.m., the kind of silence where the world feels asleep and you're the only one awake. Then my radio cracked with urgency. Cardiac arrest, 62-year-old female Evelyn Ward. My team loaded up oxygen defibrillator IV kits and we sped through the suburbs with sirens tearing through the night. Every second mattered. 10% drop in survival for every minute of delay. Those numbers play like a clock ticking inside your head. We reached the gates of Cedar Hills, a so-called luxury community. High walls, manicured hedges guarded access. And in front of the steel gate stood Frank Dorsey, the HOA security guard. He held a flashlight like a weapon body planted like he was defending a fortress. I leaned out the window and yelled, "Emergency medical services. Open the gate. Now someone's dying." He didn't move. "What's the code?" he asked, smirking like he'd just trapped me in a riddle. "What code?" "This is a 911 call," I snapped. The EMT driver leaned on the horn lights flashing, but Frank just folded his arms. "Rules are rules. No code, no entry. Imagine that your wife, your mother, your sister lying in cardiac arrest, and the one thing between her and survival is a man who thinks HOA policy outweighs a heartbeat." I jumped out, adrenaline surging, shouting, "If you don't open this gate, she's going to die." But his hand went to his belt. Before I could react, crack! A surge of electricity tore through me. My chest locked, my body hit the pavement, and I felt myself slipping between pain and darkness. Behind me, Evelyn's husband was screaming over the phone to dispatch, begging to know why we weren't inside yet. Inside that house she was fading. And I, the one person who could have saved her, was twitching helplessly on the asphalt while a guard grinned over me with a taser. By the time deputies forced the gate open, Evelyn Ward was gone. The next morning, the headlines hit like an explosion. Doctor tasered by HOA guard during 911 call. Woman dies after ambulance blocked at gate. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. News vans parked outside the hospital where I was recovering. And every replay of that footage, me collapsing, my scrubs singed where the taser burned, felt like a dagger in my chest. I told the press what I told myself 100 times: I was trying to save a woman's life. Instead, I was treated like a criminal. Evelyn's husband, Robert Ward, stood beside me, his voice shaking but sharp as steel. My wife called for help. Instead, she got bureaucracy and brutality. That night, lying in my hospital bed, I asked myself questions I'd never asked before. Should I have smashed through that gate with the ambulance? Should I have ignored him, risked getting shot instead of tasered? Did I fail Evelyn by not being more reckless? For the first time in my career, I wondered if maybe I wasn't cut out for this. If I should just walk away before another patient slipped through my hands. But then Robert came to see me. He held out his wife's wedding ring strung on a chain around his neck, his eyes hollow from grief but burning with fury. "We're not letting them bury this with excuses," he told me. And in that moment, I knew giving up wasn't an option. Not when arrogance had killed a woman who might have lived. Not when the people responsible still thought they could spin it away as protocol. Robert hired Laura King, a powerhouse attorney known for tearing apart corrupt institutions. And Laura didn't hold back. On live TV, when the HOA president Martin Cole released a statement calling Evelyn's death an inconvenience, Laura leaned into the mic and thundered, "A woman is dead. A doctor was tasered. And you call that an inconvenience?" The clip went viral overnight. Then the dam broke. Emails surfaced showing Martin had written, "If we give an inch, we lose control. No exceptions, not even emergency vehicles." Another email from Frank himself read, "I don't care if it's fire, police, or medical. No code, no entry." And then came the footage, Frank in the HOA clubhouse laughing as he aimed his taser at the wall, joking about putting EMTs in their place. This wasn't protocol. This was ego obsession with control, a warped sense of power. And now it was unraveling in public view. Residents who'd lived under the HOA's iron fist started speaking up. They talked about fines for kids' bikes left outside, warnings for planting the wrong flowers, harassment for flying flags. One elderly woman broke down crying at a town hall, confessing she hadn't called 911 when her husband fell because she was afraid this exact thing would happen. The HOA's empire of fear was collapsing under its own weight. And then came the trial. The courtroom was packed with reporters, protesters outside waving signs, lives over rules, HOA equals death sentence. I sat in the witness stand, electrodes still taped to my chest from the taser burns, and told the jury every detail. We had the tools to save her, I said. All we needed was access. The HOA stole those minutes from us. Robert sat in the front row, gripping Evelyn's ring. Laura moved like a storm, ripping the defense apart piece by piece. And then she played the clubhouse footage of Frank laughing with his taser. The jury gasped. One juror covered her mouth. Another shook his head in disgust. Frank was called to testify. He stammered, "I was just following rules." Laura cut him off, her voice slicing through the room. "No, sir. You weren't following protocol. You were following ego. And because of that, Evelyn Ward is dead." The silence that followed was suffocating. Frank shrank in his chair, his once defiant smirk gone. Martin Cole and the other board members slumped beside him, sweating under the lights, the weight of their arrogance pressing down. The jury deliberated for just 3 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous guilty. The HOA was found liable for wrongful death, civil rights violations, and assault on a first responder. $5 million in damages awarded to Robert Ward and his family. But it didn't stop there. Federal prosecutors filed criminal charges against Frank for assault and obstruction. Martin Cole and 2 other board members were indicted for negligence and fraud. The HOA itself was dissolved, its assets seized. Crowds outside erupted into cheers. Civil rights leaders called it a landmark case. Lawmakers pushed forward what they named the Ward Act, requiring every HOA in the state to grant unrestricted emergency access to first responders. No codes, no delays, no excuses. Other states followed, and Cedar Hills, once a proud gated community, became a ghost town. Families fled, property values tanked, and the people who once strutted with power now sat bankrupt and disgraced. Frank traded his flashlight and taser for a prison jumpsuit. Martin Cole's name became synonymous with arrogance in law textbooks and homeowner forums nationwide. But in the courtroom after the verdict was read, Robert wept quietly, clutching that ring. "She didn't get another chance at life," he said, "but maybe someone else will because of this." I rested a hand on his shoulder and told him, "Her loss will save countless others. That's her legacy." And as I walked out of that courthouse, I realized the gate that had slammed shut on Evelyn's life had opened something bigger, a door to accountability, a door to change, a door to making sure no HOA could ever again put control above humanity. Power without compassion isn't protection, it's a weapon. And sooner or later, it always turns on the people who wield it.